All right, today we're going to talk about the thing that everybody sees as a boring situation. Oh my gosh, goals. Here we go. I already know this stuff. Yes, you do. I have no concern about that, but I'm going to put a different twist onto it because that's just who I am, as Amy and Bob knows. So we'll move forward and see what we got here. Let's talk about introductions first, just briefly who I am. I've been in corporate HR, quite honestly, and talent acquisition for over 35 years with large companies, lived all over the world. I joined two startups as the president of the startups and ran the operations. And then I got the bug to say, you know what, let's do something on my own. Hence, I bought a franchise called Focal Point and started business coaching. Been doing that for 8 years. That's how I got to meet Amy and got introduced into Beacon through that process. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I could go back to a 9-to-5 job ever again. So I love everything I do about this. But it wasn't easy at first. Let's be honest. We all start businesses. Let's talk about the objectives of this presentation. There's going to be quite a few of them. The idea here is obviously goals, where you're starting from, and in my belief, determining and clarifying who you are and what you are, your values, is the only way to get to goals. Got to eliminate those roadblocks, meet the right people. And the biggest issue here to success in goals is creating the G.O.S.P.A, which is the goals, objectives, strategy, plans, and actions to make them work. There'll be some actions in this, but we won't conduct them because this is typically in a 2.5, 3 hour presentation program to deliver. So I'm going to really skinny it down and rip past some of the activities and actions. But I think you guys are recording this anyway. And if you want the PowerPoint to that, I'm okay with that also. I don't have a big heartburn of that, Zoe, if you want to do that. Topics we're going to talk about. Introduction into what this is. Talk about the clarity and mindset you need for success. The drivers of your major definite purpose in driving your goals. Determining where you are in a diamond map situation, and then the secret sauce of the G.O.S.P.A, which is goals, objectives, strategies, plans, and actions to achieve them. Why do we do these things in our life and our goals? Well, lots of reasons. My belief, the biggest ones are structure, outcome, and let's be honest, more fun time to do what we want to do. I don't know the motivation of why you guys started a business or why you run your own business, quite honestly. One of the goals I did when I decided to leave corporate and start my own business was I wanted to have the ability to do what I want when I want. And it's important for me to do it how I want to do it. So I'll just put a little plug in. It's not for my business, but for what I do. And it drives people nuts. But as a business coach, I have 8 clients. I only want 8 clients. Unfortunately and fortunately, I accepted a 9th one this morning, which is good, I guess. But it's winter, that's why. But in the summer, I golf 5 or 6 days a week. And I still satisfy my 8 or 9 clients. And that's my goal. That's what I wanted to do in my business. And that's one of my driving factors. But time for fun stuff is important, and to get what you want to get out of it. Goals are magic. They have the power. I like the anonymous quote the best. Success is goals and all else is commentary. Why do people not achieve their goals? What's the things that hold us back? Quite a few areas. Seems pretty straightforward. You don't have any, you can't achieve them. If you have too many, you can't achieve them. The ideas and the issues we face that we don't really address is we don't have real clarity on what is it, why is it, and how does it work, which gives us the clarity to make the goals work, quite bluntly. Then there's the execution phase, lack of focus, lack of expertise. Hey, if I want to be a college professor and teach college courses and I don't have the requisite skills, I have to obtain those skills. So I lack expertise. So one of my goals might be to get educated in obtaining a master's, PhD, whatever it is, to allow me to teach college if I want to do that. And then there is the personal accountability that comes into play sometimes also on why people don't achieve their goals, which I would encourage everybody to consider having a mentor or a buddy to help them with the accountability. For those of us or those of you that are high chargers, or in our vernacular, a high driver, a high D, this is the answer we typically hit. Well, you don't have any goals? Well, dang it, write some. You know, you have too many goals? You just got to prioritize. I mean, these answers aren't the answers, but these is what we hear a lot on how to make this accomplish and make it happen. There's a way to get to those points on the right, but it's not just state it and do it, right? And we're going to go through some of that today and how all that works. I'm a big believer of the G.O.S.P.A mentality. The G.O.S.P.A mentality and drives our life, drives our business, drives our anything we want to achieve is to define crisp and clearly a goal and objective. And then you've got to come up with a strategy, plan, and action to accomplish it. An example of this in play is, let's pretend you have a business and you want to increase revenue. I want to increase revenue 10% in 2022. That's my goal and objective. It's pretty vague still, but we'll let you go with that one. The strategy I'm going to use is, out of that 10%, I'm going to increase prices. I'm going to obtain new clients at 40%. And the other 50%, I'm going to sell more services or products to my present clients. That'll be my strategy. And then I list the plans to do that. How am I going to obtain and do the 10% price increase? What's my communication plan? When am I going to roll it out? How am I going to roll it out? How am I going to deal with the questions coming at me? Can I articulate the value still? And then the actions behind that. That's what success works in implementing goals. We'll talk about just the first half today, the goals and objectives. We won't really get into strategy, plan, and actions. But if anybody wants that, I have some templates and some things I can send you so you could do it on your own if you feel so motivated. Let's get into the first area of goal setting. Boy, I'm ripping through this well. Clarity and mindset is critical in determining success for goals. What is this? You need to understand the principle of clarity. We have to determine our values. Got to figure out where we're at today. And the biggest issue is, once we have all that, you have to accept the responsibility to do something about it. In my view, a lot of the business owners I work with, where they fall down in this area is clarity and values. They get sidetracked because of things that become important or things they need to address that impact their success in their business goals. And they don't, or they haven't addressed that early enough to clarify that and to take care of that. And then it impacts their goals. And it could be a financial situation. It could be a relationship situation. It could even be a personal fitness health situation. But to move forward, we first have to have clarity, because without clarity, it's wasted action. You might get somewhere, but are you really where you want to be? And in the greatest philosopher ever lived, I'm just kidding, of course, but A.A. Milne, who wrote Winnie the Pooh, I'm not lost because I know where I am, but however, where I am may be lost. Without clarity, you might be where you want to be, but you didn't want to be where you want to be. It's really what that says, right? So, questions. I want you to think through this just briefly. Where are you now in your plan? Where do you want to go? And the big question is why? And those questions need to be answered in 4 areas. Why? Because you become what you think about most of the time. The size and scope of what you think about and the goals you choose are all up to you. No one impacts that other than you. And without absolute clarity, you're going to have a problem with goals. Without absolute clarity in your values, you're going to have a problem achieving your goals, because what's driving you to do anything are your values. If your values are enjoy time, laissez-faire, or if your values are hard charging, driving, tenacity, those are going to impact the goals that you choose to do. Neither one of those are wrong, by the way. It's just a matter of which are your values, because that's going to drive your ability to set goals and achieve goals. And a lot of us know our values, but we don't really have them defined tightly, where if I was to say, hey, what are your core values, your core 3 values that drive you? Now, in full transparency, what drives me are 3 big things in life and in my business and in my relationships. If I don't have trust with people or clients or vendors, if I don't earn or treat those folks, those entities with respect, I'm going nowhere with them. The third one I have is tenacity. So to me, trust, respect, and tenacity and results are my 4 drivers and values. Everything I do in my relationships and in my business is there. And quite honestly, in relationships, personal and or business relationships, if I don't have trust and respect, I cut it off. I don't even entertain it. Now, that's my way of dealing with it. And that does cause a little bit of heartburn with people. Why won't you work with me? Why is it you don't come to our networking meeting? I'm not going to tell them directly 90% of the time, but it's because I've lost or not obtained their trust or their respect, or I don't respect that situation. So my goals have to all have to be defined and determined based on those 4 areas: trust, respect, tenacity, and results. So here's a little exercise that you can do. And if we were in a seminar, I'd be spending a half hour or so getting you to write all these. But what makes you feel important? Results make me feel important. Unsolicited feedback makes me feel important, positive or negative. I think if somebody says something and it wasn't created to say, or the environment wasn't in a place where they had to say it, and just full transparency with me again, you know, when you're in an environment, you do something and it's expected to say, oh, that was great. Whether you meant it or not, I don't know. But when someone could say unsolicited feedback to me, that makes me feel important. What makes you feel important and why? What raises your self-esteem and why? These are the questions that will help you clarify who you are, and what your values are. Number 4 and 5 are always important to me. What are the 3 most important values in your life today? And those can change in your stage of life, right? When you're in the beginning stages of life of your business, it's going to be different than when you're in the, I'll call it the Midas touch phase, where everything's working well. But you're going to end up in the last phase of your business. It always is, where you've got to reinvent and do something different, or you're going to slowly ebb out. And I always teasingly say, think of Sears. Once the world's largest company in the world, is now not doing so well. Borders Bookstore had 50,000 employees at one time. Where are they today? Blockbuster Video. What happened with them? And what values and qualities are you best known for among the people that know you? You might think you're a very trustworthy person, but some people might say, you know what, sometimes you say something and I don't see your actions following through. A good friend will tell you that. One of the vernaculars I use in my business coaching practice very clearly with all my clients, before I even sign them up, I throw a slide up there that has the acronym NICE, N-I-C-E, on it. And I tell them very clearly, nothing inside of me cares enough not to be honest. It's your business, not mine. And I usually get very positive feedback from that. This helps you clarify your values and who you are. One of the things that kicks us off balance and makes us not successful is not knowing where we are today. A diamond mapping exercise, which I'll show you briefly, and a way you can do this for yourself, is if these 4 areas of your life aren't understood today and accepted and defined where you want to be, I'm going to promise you, no matter what goals you set in your business, you're going to have some derailers happening because of it. Some of us have, great business success, are financially comfortable, but at the risk of what? Sometimes our health, sometimes our relationships. Sometimes people have great relationships and health and lack a little bit of business success. There's no right or wrong diamond, and I'll show you an example one. It's just you have to define and make sure all these are in balance to what you want them to be. Without this, your goals in your business are going to be 75% at risk because you got 3 areas of your life that can derail them if they don't balance. So how do you make them balance? Well, there's an exercise you can do. Plot yourself on a graph like this. Where are you today in your business success? 1 low, obviously 10 high. Where are you today in your health and fitness comfortability? Where are you today in your financial independence is kind of a bad word. I like to call it financial comfortability, financial acceptance. I think a lot of people's goal is to be financially independent, but financially independent doesn't mean I don't have to work. Financially independent means I'm not at risk. I don't have to worry about anything, right? Money isn't something I worry about daily. And then where are you in your relationships? Family, business, colleagues, whatever. You should plot yourself. An example, which is really kind of close to mine, quite bluntly, is I tend to have a very good practice. My health and fitness is pretty good. I probably could move that to a 7 or 8 now. I'm comfortable in where I am financially, but I do need to work on relationships. And people that know me know that. I'll give you a live example. How many of you saw me last week at the party? Yeah, right. I came in and came out real quick, right? That's just kind of who I am, right? It's my working. It's where I got to work on in that. So this is where I am. Now this can be comfortable and I'm okay with that. My diamond looks like that. I'm okay with it. Or I could say, you know what? I want to improve my family relationships because it's impacting the other areas of my life. So where are you on the map? And then your next diamond is where do you want to be on the map? And if you're where you want to be, diamond is different than where you are, you've got goals. They're right there. We just got to determine who they are and what they are. There is no way around setting goals or achieving anything without personal accountability. It's really, really difficult, right? Most of us are accountable, but I think we all need help. Very large corporate leaders, Schmidt, who used to run Google, they all had a coach. They all had a mentor. They all had somebody next to them, keeping them accountable to what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. And if anybody's working like that with someone, it isn't, did you achieve your goal today? What'd you do? It's holding them accountable personally, trying to define, hey, let's create no excuses. Let's not complain about what's going on. Let's not assign blame or criticize. Let's just identify it, figure it out. And what are we going to do about it? Now, I didn't say attack it and kill it, did I? I said, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to address it? The biggest issue in executive coaching, if I'm doing anybody in executive coaching or working with anybody, is not about always the things we're working on to achieve. It's how do I get them to have that mindset of taking accountability and responsibility at all times in any situation? Because this, to me, is critical for success. the old victor-victim mentality. People who are victors face problems. People who are victims face problems. It's a mindset on how you attack them, right? I am of belief 100% that every problem I face is an opportunity for me to crush it, attack it, and figure it out. And I have a plan. What is it? How to get there? How do I stop it? And then how do I stop it from happening again? So I take the whole prove mentality. I'm proactive. I'm positive about them. I'm taking responsibility for it, even if it's not mine. Somebody else created it. I'm going to take ownership to deal with it. I got to have a vision on what I want to do. And I'm going to try to attack it with excellence and make it work. When I work with clients or when I'm defining a client or believe it or not, I turned down 2 clients this year, prospects who wanted to be clients because I saw them as victims, blaming, negative, denial. I can't work with people that way. It would drive me nuts. Now, everybody in this room is going to say, yeah, I'm a victor. Okay. Look deep inside. When COVID hit, what'd you do? Right? When 2 clients came to you and said, I got to stop working with you, what'd you do? When the government came and said, hey, we'll give you some money to bail out, what'd you do? Right? Attack it, go after it, or sit there and go, now that we got the foundation set, let's attack some goals, figure out what to do and how to do them. You need to set the goals. Before you set your personal business goals, you need to set personal goals in the 4 areas of your life. What are the goals you want to achieve high level in your business and career, financial, health and wellness, and family? Because they all intertwine. I'm going to promise you, especially at our age, I'm 60 years old, health and wellness comes into play, right? Good friend of mine who's 63 years old, found out in a very shocking way because he went in for a shoulder rotator cuff tear. They did an MRI. Thank God the MRI technician went a little bit lower into the lung, found a tumor. He had no clue. He had a 4.5 centimeter cancer tumor in his lung. And now his health and wellness is impacting all those other areas of his life. These things happen, right? Unfortunate. We're all going to face things in all areas of our life. So if these aren't in balance, if you don't have a goal in each one of these, your business goals are going to be impacted negatively, or you're going to have challenges. So I'm going to encourage everybody, set at least one goal in that diamond on what to achieve. And you'll become as large in that desire and great as your aspiration and what you set. So really set the goal for something that's achievable and big enough. And when you get that balance in your life, here's what you need to do is let's set 3 goals. So we're going to talk about how to in a minute. But what are the 3 most important goals in business and career? And you have to be honest and answer why. What is it in 2022 that you want to achieve in your business? And why? It doesn't always have to be increased revenue. It could be, I want to increase client satisfaction. I want my clients to stay much longer. In my business, my clients stay between 18 and 36 months, somewhere in that time frame. I might want to work on keeping them 24 months on average, as opposed to 22 months. Financial goals, health goals, and family relationship goals. If you can start out high level thinking, gee, I'd like financial, just not to, I'd like to have a cushion of 6 months revenue in the bank account, in the finances. I'd like to have 3 months operating cash, right? Whatever it is, right? Put a high level thought in place on the 3, because you'll ferret them down deeper using a process coming up. I'd encourage you, once you put those down, put those to a side, and then without thinking of those, write down your top 7 goals the next 12 months and why. Don't care what area of your life, what it could be: career, finance, health, relationships. Just write down the top 7. If it's part of those 12, fine. If it's not, fine, because you're going to put them together and figure it out. Obviously, this is 222, not 221, but apologize there. But the idea is I'm getting you to think through, now that I've kind of got some framework and foundation, and I've listed some high level things, what are the top 7 things I want to achieve next 12 months? Do I want more flexibility and freedom in my schedule of my life? Do I want more money?
Mark, I think this list is separate from the others that we just wrote down. So it's what comes to your mind immediately,
exactly,
rather than
right. Yep. It's what comes to your mind immediately rather than the 3 high levels you just put in the areas. And there might be interconnections, which is okay. But I want this a clear mindset. Just say, here's my top 7. Without thinking, if I had to list 7 things I want to achieve next year in whatever, this is my 7.
Do we have time to do that now?
You can do it right now in 5 minutes if you'd like.
All right, we're going to take a break, guys. Let Mark take a break, and everyone right now, do your top. Mark, you tell us what to do. I can't talk without my coffee.
That's all right. What I want you to do is, without thinking too heavily, list 7 things you'd like to achieve next year and answer the question why. Now, don't limit it to your business. Limit it to whatever you want to achieve next year. What is it you want to do next year that when you're this time in 2022, you're going, I did those. I got those done. It can be as simple as, I want to buy a new car. I don't care. It could be as simple as, I want to downsize my living from just my wife and I don't need the 4-bedroom home anymore. Whatever, right? Probably should be playing some music now, right? If once you have those done, if anybody's brave enough to share one of them, that'd be great. Because I'd like people to see they're not all business goals, I'm sure. One of my clients actually put a goal in here that he wanted to drop his golf handicap as one of his top 7 goals.
Was that for 2021, and did he achieve it?
He did. He didn't drop it to the level he wanted, but he did. He dropped it. And the reason he dropped it is because he, working on his business, he actually had time to take off every Friday and play golf, where he didn't earlier. So that fit into the whole diamond situation for him. Well, we've been at this for about 2 minutes. One of the goals I put in there is, I don't know if you guys know, but I officiate high school basketball, and I really enjoy officiating high school basketball. I've done state semifinal games. One of my goals is to get a state final in 2022. So one of the things I'm working at is how to improve my skills as a basketball official, so I get noticed. So I'll get the opportunity to do a state final in Harrisburg or Hershey, wherever they have it this year. About 3.5 minutes into it. Is everybody okay with their 7? Cool. Any brave souls? Care to share one of them?
Take yourselves off mute if you want to share.
All righty, we'll move on.
Well, I'm going to share one of mine. Maybe
Okay.
that will get others to do so. I had to put aside no preface. Go on a European vacation.
There you go. That's a great goal, right? And why do you want to do that?
Mine was canceled 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I had this.
Leslie?
Start writing monthly blog posts.
Nice. Nice. That's a great one. Yeah. Why do you want to do that?
Well, I have
For 2 reasons. One, I like to write,
Mhm.
and because it's good for my visibility and helps with business development.
It absolutely does. It allows you what I call one of the 3 C's, which you become a content expert. People start seeing that.
Patrick?
Yeah, so my goal is actually to get a job, a typical 9-to-5 job, as opposed to what your desires were, Mark.
Good.
I miss the camaraderie and the long-term goals, really the long-term goals of the projects you're working on. Because consulting is more, 6 to 9 months, and then you don't see the goals through.
Yeah.
And this job is not going to be here, but it's either going to be in Sweden or in Switzerland. And I'm actively applying and have done so for several months.
And how's that going? Is it going well?
I had a really good interview last week. It was the 2nd or 5th, depending on how you count, the 2nd job in the same company. And hopefully I'll find out this week.
Well, congratulations. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
I'll share a couple. Maureen and I, my wife and I, are in a later stage of our lives. So we're looking about things more around retirement. So one of the decisions we've made is we're going to move from the house we're in right now to a continuing care retirement community, which will clearly be a smaller. So we've got so much stuff that we need to get rid of, and we're taking a very non-emotional. We're doing a little bit. My hope is by the end of the coming year is to have all of the stuff gone. So that's a major one. And on the vacations, similar, we're looking to get 2 major vacations this year. We had 2.5 weeks in Europe and Jordan a couple months ago, but we've got a couple others planned. And the reason for that, again, is we're planning to live into our 90s, but we don't know if that's going to happen. So let's get the vacations now when we know we can do the walking with them.
That's great. Yeah. 5 years ago, my wife and I made the same downsizing decision, and it was tough, but it's the greatest feeling right now. And we so when we had our little yard sale, we took the money and went to Barcelona for 10 days.
What a great city it is too.
It is great. I mean, it was fun. Yeah. And I'm in the same place Amy is now, because for 2 years now, I gave my wife a Christmas present 2 years ago to go to Israel, visit some of the Holy Land sites. And because of COVID, we haven't been able to do it for 2 years. So I keep telling her, here's your birthday or your Christmas present. We're still going.
Yeah, that was on the front end of our Egypt, Jordan, and that was shut down. So anyway, yeah.
So.
Anyone else?
Mark's got his hand raised, Mark style.
I need 2 things. One is to figure out where that hand up thing is in Zoom. I seem to have lost that ability. There's so many, you gave me 7, so I did that. But one goal I really have is to, when I retire, is to set up to live in London for a month a year. It was a compromise. I started with moving, and my wife looked at me, and so we've now negotiated down to a month. But I lived there for a few years. It's where I met my wife. She's English, and a lot of relatives there. So I want to try to figure out how to do that.
Nice.
All our money.
That's a great goal.
I have a colleague who actually she works for me, and she worked for an entire year part-time. She and her husband did Rome for 3 months, Barcelona for 3 months, Paris for 3 months, and London for 3 months. And the reason it was the 3 months was because that was how long the visa was last in each of those cities. So, the visa was coming up, she just moved to, but she had it all planned for the entire year. And so, please do that. That's an awesome. Mark Style, I think you had a goal.
I just had a question. I was writing my goals down, and I realized that, one of my goals was to get my client number into the low double digits. Mm-hmm. But then another goal was to revamp the website, create a lead generation system, which sort of is a supporting goal to the first one. So would they both be considered equal goals, or is there some, like you say, these are actions to achieve the goals, or how would you look at that, Mark?
Right. So what you would do is you'd list both of them as separate goals, right? One is to get your clients into double digits by X time frame, right? And answer your question, why? Why do you want to do that? Your why is going to determine the priority, quite bluntly. Then your next one is, and I want to get my website or my marketing to that X level or here. And why do you want to do that? And the answer to the why is going to determine priority amongst them. Can you, so for example, can you raise clients double digit without that website? Maybe.
Right.
Why do you want to put the website out there? I have a website out there, but my website is not for client attraction. It's for competence and content. I want people to see me and build competence in their head about me. Maybe your website's that. Maybe your website's lead generation. The why is going to answer your priority, Mark.
Got it. Thanks.
Bruce?
Yeah, one of my goals is to get speaking engagements and launch a speaking career, discussing what I do athletically and how to keep fit and active as as a senior, and
Nice.
explaining what I do, playing basketball and running for a track club, etc.
And your why for doing that is because it's a passion? It's because of
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. Yes. Yeah,
That's perfect.
and I explain to people how I over the years went from over 200 pounds to 150 that I weigh now.
Hey, nothing's more powerful than having passion into something, because guess what? It's the burn the boat mentality. None of us like to do it, but if you're passionate about something, you will go there and just ignore the behind and move forward 100%. So that's wonderful. That's a tremendous driver. Should be probably one of your values is your passion. Pretty good. Any others?
All right,
Okay.
I'm going to ask everyone to put themselves back on mute so Mark can go through other slides. So thank you.
One of the biggest issues we need to define in driver is your major purpose in life. There's one quality that you must possess. Kind of got Bruce's passion to win. And it's basically the thing, I'll call it. It's going to be called the X factor coming up, but it's your major defined purpose of what's causing you to do all this stuff. I mean, for example, it answers the question, why'd you get up in the morning? What are you doing? Why are you here? What is it you want to figure out? Right? It seems big, but it's not that hard to solve. It's that one goal that's most important to you at this moment. It's usually the one that helps you achieve others. And it must be something that you really, 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 I could only put two, really, really want. And it's got to be intense. It's basically, this is what I am and do. I mean, I heard a lot of cool passion and tone out of Bruce's voice and mouth when he was talking about that. I can tell that's his purpose. He has a strong passion about what he has done and what he wants people to hear. What's yours? What is that one purpose that drives everything? So to do that, let's assume all 7 goals you wrote, you're going to guarantee success. They're going to happen. Okay? What's the greatest positive impact that they're going to create in your life? You achieve those 7 goals. What is the number one greatest impact that you're going to get out of that? What are the 7 reasons for your choices? What happens majorly if by chance what I told you with a 100% guarantee isn't? You don't get, I'm just going to pick on you, Bruce, because I love your goal. If you don't get that speaking engagement opportunities, what are the impacts of that? How painful are those impacts? How scary are those impacts? If you can answer these things, these 3 things, you've probably got the raw data to say, this is my my purpose, my major driver. My major driver in my business is very simple, man. It was to get the clients unsolicited to say, gosh almighty, this works. Thank you very much. That was my drive. All my goals, all my driven actions, passions, thoughts, ideas. If I achieve that, I hit it. So all my goals have that theme in place, is to get unsolicited feedback in an environment that feedback isn't supposed to happen. So find your purpose that drives everything you want to do. And you can do it by determining the answers to these 3 statements or questions. If you get stuck, which we all do, here's 7 questions to ask yourself to unstuck yourself. What are the 5 things you value most in life? I know I'm talking about life and personal things, but I'm telling you, anybody can say, hey, here's my 3 business goals. They're going to be derailed if you don't have all that balance. So, and what's the 3 most important goals in your life right now? That's a 30-second question. Right now, what are the 3 most important things you want to achieve? Hopefully it's part of your 7.
30 seconds. Go for it.
Don't go overthinking, just bing, bing, bing. I want to achieve these things. When I did this, mine was competence, and charisma. In all areas, I wanted to achieve those 3 things in my business, relationships. If you're stuck and you've won the lottery and got your $50 million check and you've got no limitations, what would you do? I know it seems pie in the sky, but believe it or not, you're thinking of that internally, whether you admit it to yourself or not. If you had the old, hey, I've got the old screw you money, I don't need to do anything anymore, what would you do? Or you could even go to the dark side of life. If you were given the 6 months before you visit the next phase, what would you do? What if you met Aladdin and you rubbed the magic lamp and the genie popped out and said, you get one wish, no fail, guaranteed it's going to happen. Guaranteed it's going to happen. What is it? Answering these questions will help you to get rid of your stuckness on what's your major purpose.
I'm just going to share one thing there, Mark.
Yep.
With that, always wanted to do, but been afraid to, as well as not going to fall with the genie. Someone I knew was doing rappelling, and I missed the preview for it, but I called him afterwards and I'm like, oh, I'm in. And he said, you do know this is a fundraiser. I'm like, oh, that makes it even better. Absolutely.
Right. Good for you.
Rappelling down 31 stories was one of those things that I never thought about, but when it came out, it was like, oh, I'm definitely doing that.
Cool.
So, yeah, anyone who wants to know how to do that, connect with me.
Nice. Number 5 for me is what did you always wanted to do? But I really wasn't afraid to, but what I always wanted to do, my suppressed desire, my ultimate goal, I'd love to teach college full time. So I have a master's degree, but that only gives me part-time stuff. So believe it or not, I'm 60 years old. At age 58, I enrolled into a PhD program. Crazy as it is. Now, I haven't completed it, and I don't know if I will because COVID got me and some other things. But the point is that was one of the things that my 32nd, right? Okay.
Does anyone else want to pipe up with some of their things?
Okay. Everybody knows this, right? You've heard this acronym many times in your goals. The one that I like is the A. I just firmly believe if you're not aligned with your values, your goals aren't going to happen. It's tougher. It's just really tough. You don't have your values defined, which are what drives you. You're going to have a tough time achieving goals. You can do it. It's just, to me, a little tougher because you get pulled away. Other things happen. But everybody knows that.
I often, if you go back to that, I often look at have heard SMART with the A as being achievable.
Correct. And
I like
that,
it this way.
me too, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't think we're setting goals that are unachievable ever.
Right.
I mean, to me, I mean, you're setting a goal to be, you know, a billionaire someday, and you've got a net worth of $1 million. Good luck. You know, I mean, it's not really achievable. But my view is if you're aligned with your values, they're going to work. Just honest to gosh. All right. What can you expect? Your selection of your purpose and your decision to concentrate on that single-minded purpose, overcoming all obstacles until it's achieved, will do more to change your life than anything else. So whatever that driver is, your passion to get something done, whatever it is, answering those questions, getting unstuck, defining your major purpose is the ultimate driver to get all goals achieved and all goals defined using clarity and the other aspects. Let's go into a little bit of how to achieve these goals and getting them accomplished. The action or plan area, I told you we weren't going to talk much about it, but in achieving the goals you set, you'll find that what does that is that special X factor. It helps you to prioritize and sequence also. It's the why, but let's define X factor, okay? X factor is a noteworthy special talent or quality. An example, plenty of luxury cars around, but that S-type, that just has that special X factor. It's a variable that can be that can impact the situation the most. An example of that is, you know, in a election campaign, sometimes the young vote turns out to be the X factor that pushes it over the goal line. Your purpose can be your X factor, but it can also be a subset of your an X factor can be a subset of your purpose, and we'll help you define X factor. Here's the formula. Where do we put that X? Because you can do more of certain things in your goals or choices. You can do less of certain things. You can stop things altogether, or you can start something new. Okay, these are the choices you have when you set goals and decide what you're going to do. But there's four focal points. How do you like that for a play of words? There's 4 focal points in goals, okay, in determining X factor. Identify key obstacles, constraints, and limitations. Understand the knowledge that you need. Determine, are there people who can help you get to that point where you're going to go? And then you list everything you have to do. If you do these 4 things for this, you'll be able to determine what your X factor is. This raw data of saying, what are my key obstacles, constraints, and limitations to overcome if I was wanting to do more revenue, if I want to have more personal or business relationships? What are the obstacles I got to overcome if I want to do less networking in my marketing and more blogging? Obviously, you know, the first thing coming to mind in that is people are going to say, hey, where are you? I haven't seen you in a while. So kind of going through this process in those 4 areas of your life is going to help determine your X factor. What is it, that special thing that drives you? I believe my X factor is tenacity. I have a comment that I've made to people all the time, clients and everything else. I will not fail. I might not win, but I will not fail. Now, what does that mean? Well, to me, it means failure is not an option for me, and it's defined as this. But I'm going to do everything possible to win, and I'll get wins out of the situation. If I might not get to the ultimate top of the peak, but I'll make sure I win somehow to that point I need to. And that's my driver. That's my X factor. I will not stop. It's almost a fault of mine because I can be way too intense. Way too intense. In fact, people tell me that often. Tone it down, Mark. You're way too intense. Oops, my computer just froze on me. Bear with me a second. I don't know why I did that. All right, so here we go. Next factor example. Under knowledge, information, skills needed. What should you do more of to gain the knowledge you need? What should you do less of to gain the knowledge you need? What should you stop doing to gain the knowledge you need? So I'll give you my example. I wanted to be able to teach college full-time. So what should I do more of to gain that knowledge? Well, I better get a PhD because my master's degree is only allowing me to do it part-time. What should I do less of? Well, I got to have time to do this. So I better create more time or back down and do less golfing, less officiating, less whatever to allow me to gain that knowledge. Or what should I stop doing? And what should I start doing to make that happen? So those three areas, asking these 4 questions, helps put the raw data in place for me to say, that's it. I want to show you a cool video that I think is just awesome on this whole concept. It's the old jelly bean, and let me quickly grab let me know if you can hear this. I think I have it set up so you can hear the sound.
I don't think we can hear that.
Can you, Joey? No?
No.
No, we can't hear it.
Okay, hang on a minute then. Let me see if I can. Whoa, I'll start it again. This is only a couple of minutes. I thought I set it up where, I'm sorry. Share sound. I think you will now. Let me start it again.
Yes.
These are roughly
Yes.
28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's 1 jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities, and another 720 days will go to community activities like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
I love that video. I think that video puts a lot of things into perspective.
When we were
And to me, it helps us define some of the criteria in determining what our goals are and the constraints we have in them. So you've got all the actions and ability. You've got the ability to create all the raw data that you need to define your clarity, your high-level ideas of what you want to achieve in your goals. You've got an ability to define your major purpose and your X factor. If you can use all that, put all that raw data together, you'll be able to write the plan. Prioritization will occur with your why. You'll find logical sequences and dependencies. And like everything else, you're going to review this every 90 days or so. It makes sense. So you should. I mean, I believe and I teach G.O.S.P.A every 90 days in business. Let's define our 90-day G.O.S.P.A plan in the 5 areas of business that everybody has. I don't care what business you have. I don't care if you're Google, IBM, the largest company in the world, or mom and pop. I promise you, you're doing marketing, sales, operations, delivering it. You're doing administration, and you're doing client support. Google has probably 600,000 departments underneath those 5, but you're doing the same 5. You're going to get new information. You're going to complete stuff. You're going to have to adjust based on some things coming at you. And you're going to have to pick the most important task that day, that week, that accomplishes those goals. And that's the hard part. If you're not having that proactive personal accountability, or you don't have that friend, mentor, guider, or dare I say, business coach pushing you to do that. Finally, take my tenacity. Never, ever, ever give up. Few things are impossible through diligence and skill. Great works are performed by strength, not by perseverance. I always tell people, I might not be the smartest person in the room, but I promise you, I will outwork you. I promise you. And that is true. You might do 2 things to get there. I'll do 200. Guaranteed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Questions, opening it up. Mark, keep the slides available if people have questions there that you can refer back to, but questions for Mark. Yep, go ahead, Leslie.
You do this a lot. You've obviously done it successfully for yourself and for your clients. Where are the places most people get stuck, do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. Most people get stuck in 2 areas. They want to do a quick fix. They just want to establish goals without determining their foundation, right? How's that balance with the rest of it? What's your values that drive? The 2 things I try and get people to define is what values drives you in your business, because without that, everything shoots in the wind. Okay. If you don't have, your core values defined as your business and you individually, which by the way, if you own your business, they should align a lot. They set goals, and then next thing you know, 3 to 4 weeks into it, they're off track because it didn't align. Those are the biggest ones are, to me, is trying to set a goal without having their values and their purpose defined. Why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? And what drives me to achieve this at the level I want to achieve it? If I can get that done, everything else is easy, quite honestly. And that takes the longest time because it's a mind shift change on people.
Thanks.
Before we continue with the next question, Zoe, I think you can take a picture here.
Yeah, Mark, do we need your slides up anymore? I'll get more
Yeah,
people to close that out.
What do you want me to do?
Stop the share.
Stop the share. You're perfectly fine.
I know, I go back and forth. Okay,
Yes.
everyone, we're going to be posting this on LinkedIn, lots of marketing, as Mark mentioned, for LinkedIn and Beacon and such. So if you want to show your face, that would be great. Okay, Zoe.
All right. Got everyone. Okay.
All right. Other questions for Mark? None? Everybody has their goals for 2022 now, based upon what he said? Bob has a
Yeah,
question.
not so much a question, but a thank you. As I sent you a private. I've been using G.O.S.P.A for over 40 years, and it's fundamental. The thing that you added to put context around it, I thought was very good. And I've always had the purpose or the mission, whatever you want to call it, and the values as part of it. But your thought process of going through, here are the 4, what are the 3 most important, what are the top 7, is a really worthwhile process. And thank you for that, specifically for introducing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really big on methodologies and process. My whole business is built on MPPT. Everything you do in life, and I'll challenge anybody on the call. I'll challenge anybody in the world. You have a model and a methodology, process, people, and technology doing it. Your family does. You have a model. It's a family model. I don't care what the structure looks like. You've got a family model. You have a methodology and how it operates. Guess what? People, there's processes. Somebody's taking care of the lawn. Somebody's doing the dishes. Somebody's doing laundry. Somebody's whatever, right? All that's happening. That's critical to define G.O.S.P.A, Bob. So thank you.
Speak up.
I just have a comment, Mark, when you were talking about tenacity, and that's your, X factor. It reminded me of, I don't know if if you haven't seen this, you should watch it. The Rock giving a speech to the Lakers about how he outworks everybody, including them.
Yeah.
And, as professional athletes, like he still is realizing like, yeah, I still outwork you guys. So
Yeah. That I should watch that. That would inspire me. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a firm believer. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the strongest. You just got to be the one that pushes the hardest. Get through it, right? And that's a big belief of mine. By the way, if you are the strongest, smartest, and you push through it, you're a superstar, right?
All right.
That was Michael Jordan, by the way. Michael Jordan, in my mind, had the skill and the tenacity more than anybody ever. That's my view. Sorry, Amy.
It's okay.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.